All right, while we're awaiting the next witness, let's get some analysis of what we just heard over the past nearly 1 hour. Jane Velez Mitchell is joining us, also Mark Nejame. Jane, what do you make of this last witness, Jonathan Manalo?
Well, it's good for George Zimmerman in the sense that it shows that he took a picture. He said, "Am I bleeding?" He took a picture of the back of his head. There's blood there. He said there was blood streaming down his nose. Is this the behavior of an innocent man who's just been beaten up, or is this the behavior of a vigilante? What kind of really concerned me and what struck me at first was the lack of emotion on the part of George Zimmerman. He's just shot somebody dead. Are there tears? Is there emotion? Is there a sense of, oh my God, somebody is dead lying on the ground? No, he's extraordinarily calm, this witness says. And he's matter of fact. Does that point to the vigilante attitude? I think that's what the jurors are going to have to decide. They're going to have to decide if this was a guy who was just beaten up and therefore doesn't have the wherewithal at that moment emotionally to care about this dead person on the ground, or is this a guy who's callous and doesn't care and maybe even a little bit proud of having shot him because he tells the guy, "Tell my wife I shot someone."
And Mark, what's the upshot in your opinion of what Jonathan Manalo said?
Well, his battered and bruised body, and additionally that he indicated immediately that he fought in self-defense. So, as Jane indicates, I mean, it does have both sides, but, you know, does he believe that he was protecting his life and he shot somebody in self-defense, or was he cold and calculated? But I think that the bigger issue is going to be, because we all know that people can react differently depending upon who they are. We all don't act the same. The biggest thing, though, is you've got confirmation of the battered and bruised body, which is the person who took the picture. So I think that is going to be the biggest part of it. I don't think he's going to be a make-it-or-break-it witness.
And it's the context, Jane. His wife testified earlier, Jonathan Manalo, Jean, and she seemed to suggest, what, that Zimmerman was the aggressor? Is that right?
Well, listen, there have been now well over half a dozen witnesses, all of whom saw fragments, Wolf, and that is the problem. It's a dark, rainy night. Everybody is seeing fragments along a timeline that's intercepted by 911 calls and screams and various commotions. So, is there, let's say, in darkness and in rain, reasonable doubt? I think that's possibly the key question here.
And Mark, as you see the situation as it stands right now, we're wrapping up week 1 of this trial. Where does it stand?
Well, I think that the state started off very strong. I've been very impressed with the quality of the prosecutors, but I think as we're seeing it now, they feel like they have to put on the full case so they don't lose credibility in front of the jurors. They know the defense is going to be putting these witnesses on anyway, but I think they've taken some big blows. These are witnesses that were going to come out, and they seem to be towards the end of this, that we're seeing in the timeline witnesses, more helping the defense than they would be helping the prosecution. Because remember, we have to keep going to that standard. It's not kind of like, who do you kind of believe? The state has to prove this beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. And that is such a strict standard. When there's confusion and conflict amongst witnesses, that typically sides with the defense, as it should be, as our Constitution dictates.